Hey, Wellness Warriors, are you feeling scattered, unfocused, and overwhelmed trying to do all the things? Or are you getting to the end of your day and you're like, where the heck did my time go? Or maybe you're just wishing you could clone yourself so you could finally get all of those to dos crossed off your never ending to do list. Does this sound like you? I'm guessing so. That's why you're watching. So I'm so glad you're here. You are in the right place. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my top 3 tips to master your productivity so that you can finally get the right things done and get that feeling of, accomplishment and feeling like settled and strategic by the end of each and every day. So, thank you so much for being with me today. My name is Laura Albers. I am the Clear Your Plate coach. I am a business and mindset coach for female health and wellness professionals. And I am owner of Albers Mind and Body Wellness, as well as a mental health therapist. All right, so I want to really dive in to, first of all, the reasons why we often struggle with time management. And then, as I said, I'm going to be offering 3 productivity tips to really, sort of rock your time and get the right things done. All right, so let's talk for a moment about why we often struggle with time management and struggle with productivity and focus. So there's kind of lots of reasons, but I'm going to narrow it down to sort of like 3 main reasons for today's video. So the first reason is that we often have no idea truly how we spend our time. So we often tend to, and actually research backs this up as well, we often tend to overestimate the amount of time that certain tasks take. So we often overestimate, the fact how long maybe a report will take us to do, and in our heads we think, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever. So we often procrastinate. The other thing is kind of the reverse, is often we underestimate the amount of time actually the task really end up taking. So often, for example, we underestimate how often we're on or how long we're on social media. Like that's a big one. And I bet you can probably resonate with that one, or most of us can resonate with that one. We tend to get on Facebook for just a minute, or we think we're on Instagram for 10 minutes, and suddenly the next thing we know, and often we're not even aware, but like 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour or more has gone by, and we didn't even realize that that's kind of where our time went. So number 1 is often that we don't know truly where our time goes. Number 2 is that we often don't spend near enough time planning and strategizing and setting goals and really just being strategic. We sort of operate kind of from the quote, flying by the seat of our pants sort of thing. And as a result, we're often, doing a lot of busy work, or we're just not really spending our time strategically on the things that truly matter and truly move us forward in our job or in our business. All right. And lastly, the third thing is that even if we do set goals and we're aware of kind of some of the things that we're supposed to be working on, we often are not consistent. So we're not consistently checking in on our goals. All right, so those are the 3 main reasons that we really struggle with time management and productivity and achieving our goals. So let's talk about the 3 strategies that I want to share with you to really rock your productivity. These are things that I do, all the time in my business, and it has since I adopted these 3 things, it has been a huge game changer. So I'm really excited to share these. All right, so number 1, my productivity hack number 1 is to track your time, right? So this goes back to what we just talked about with so many people struggling with productivity because they don't know where they spend their time. So first step is to really know, where is your time going? Once and for all, where do you actually spend your time? Where does it actually go? All right, so there's several apps, there's several ways you can do this. You can use apps or your computer, software, things like that, or simply pen and paper. That's, such a great standby. So choose sort of your method, whatever resonates best or whatever's easiest for you. If you choose to do apps, there's tons of really great apps out there. A couple examples are A Tracker, Toggle, Life Cycle, but again, there's tons of apps out there. So you can, Google that or check your app store and see what's available. Again, just paper and pen can be super simple. So it's just, noting when you wake up, And then, let's say you wake up at 6 a.m. So from 6 to 7 a.m., you're going to write, okay, what did I do from 6 to 7 a.m.? From 7 to 8 a.m., what did I do from 8 to 9? And so forth. You're just going to kind of go through your entire day, noting exactly, like specifically, how you're spending your time. So for example, you're not going to write something like work, like I did work from 8 to 5. That's really not helpful. You want to know what specifically were you working on while you were at work, so break that down into really specific tasks. Okay, so that's productivity hack number 1, is really knowing where your time goes. And I would encourage you to do this kind of as long as you can. Like a week or 2 is like fantastic, because often no one week is the same for many of us. So it's good to kind of get a really good sample of how you're spending your time. But if you could at least do it for, a couple of days, that would even be helpful. And I think what's really helpful about this too is that once you have the data, first of all, you can really start to see patterns. You can start to see where you are being productive and when, so you can see times of day where you're most productive, and then also times of day where you're not as focused. You can also see like tasks that take a lot more of your time, and maybe there's things that you identify that you can automate or delegate or hire out for, which ultimately is like the number one, kind of productivity strategy. So it can really help you to see clearly where and how you're spending your time, and then make adjustments as needed. All right, so productivity hack number 1 is to time track. Productivity tip or hack number 2 is to do a daily highlight. Okay, so I love this strategy of choosing your daily focus or daily highlight. And the way this works is you actually can divide your day into 2 parts. For most people, this is going to be an AM and a PM. So like a morning time and an afternoon time. But obviously if you work later in the day, kind of adjust that accordingly. So what you're going to want to do is pick one top focus, top priority for the morning time, and one task that is of utmost importance for the afternoon time. So you can kind of think in terms of like, what is the one thing that I would love to get done today that would help me to feel really, really focused or really productive, or would really help me to feel like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders? Or like, what is the one thing that is really going to move my business forward, or really help me in my job? So think in terms of that. These are like biggest bang for your buck kinds of things. Okay, so the key is to have one daily highlight for the morning and one daily highlight for the afternoon. And don't worry if you only have, let's say, 20 minutes in the morning available for this. That's okay. You can actually get a lot done in 20 minutes, especially if you're breaking down your bigger goals and your bigger tasks into small pieces. So you can really get a lot done in a short amount of time if you're very clear on what you're working on. So essentially, if you're very clear on what that one daily highlight is. All right, so that's productivity hack number 2, is the daily highlight. Productivity hack number 3 is to schedule time blocks and planning days. This one I love too, and was such a game changer for me as well. So what I started doing at the very beginning of the year in January is I went through my entire calendar for the year, and I scheduled out one planning day per month for me and my business. And so what this looked like was every day of the month, I had one day that I knew I was going to be working on planning, strategizing, goal setting, just dreaming. And it really helped me to get really clear on what I was going to be working on and when. So for example, when I would launch a new program or something like that, like I knew exactly when those things were going to happen, and I had that time built into my schedule, so I never felt as overwhelmed as I did prior to having these planning days scheduled. All right, so that's part of this strategy, is to have a planning day that you have every single month. And just know too, if like, let's say you do this in January, and by the way, it's not too late to do this. So I'm recording this video in September, so we're obviously nearing the end of the year. It's not too late if you haven't done the strategy yet. It is not too late to set a planning day for October and November and December. But I do this in January, and let's say, come September, I may not know exactly what my schedule is going to be then. So if I have to switch my planning day, I will, but that's only if I have to. And I will definitely reschedule it. Like, it is absolutely non-negotiable that this happens for me. All right, and the second part of this tip or strategy is to schedule time blocks. And so for me, I schedule strategic blocks. So I schedule every week. For me, this is like Monday morning. I schedule a 3-hour time block where I use that time to work on things that require, more of my mental energy, more of my time, more of my focus. And so for me, that can be things like, writing articles, social media posts, that can be creating content, it can be creating sales pages. But just think about for you what that might be. Like, what are the tasks that require a lot more of your, mental time, or your time and sort of your mental energy and your focus. And so I'd encourage you to make a list of at least kind of 5 things that sort of fall under this category, and then schedule that strategic block in your calendar each week. And, once that becomes time that on your schedule to other people is like, I'm not available, people will start to honor and respect that. And you will see a huge difference in what you're able to get sort of done and accomplished, and how you're able to move forward on, these bigger goals, or move forward in your business, or advance your career, things like that. So it truly has made a remarkable difference for me. So that's why I'm so excited to share these tips with you today. So again, just to recap, productivity tip number 1 is time tracking. Productivity tip number 2 is to do a daily highlight. Productivity tip number 3 is to schedule time blocks and planning days throughout your year. All right, so thank you so much for watching. And if you're really struggling with your productivity and your time management and just feeling really overwhelmed and stressed out and exhausted, then grab your complimentary clarifying call with me today by going to www.alberswellness.com, and we're just going to talk through your unique challenges and your unique situation, what results you're looking for, how I can help, and then we'll talk about next steps. So there's no obligations, just clarity on your next steps. And also, I encourage you to consider subscribing to the IAWP's YouTube wellness channel, where you will find more videos like these, sort of bite-sized tips on all things related to health and wellness. All right, so feel free to share this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye for now.